May I give you a general introduction about how to meditate and then go forward?
Yes, please.
Most of us over here have very busy life. So if you can just enlighten everybody, what are the benefits for the layman doing meditation might be beneficial.
So I started in my, now I am about 57, 58 years old. I started at about 26, 27. At that time I was in the second year of my university. And there was a little unfortunate or mishap kind of thing. But I never sought meditation as a way out. So as an accident, due to some of my colleagues, they pushed me to this kind of a religious way. Though I am a born Buddhist, I was never thought about that kind of way out. So I met one of the Australian monk, white monk. So it was something new for me, being a foreigner coming and meditating in Sri Lanka. So I went to him, and then not on the spiritual ground, not on the religious ground, I just, out of inquisitive mind, inquiring mind, I went there. And first and foremost he did was, he blackguarded me. You people are born Buddhists, never practice, and coming to us. And why don't you go to a village temple and ask the village monks to give instructions? Then I told, I came to you because you are a white person and already ordained, and that is why I wanted to have a contact. Then he told, that is not the correct, genuine intention. So therefore I am not going to take time with you. Mind your business. So it make me more and more agitated to somehow or the other have a relationship with him. So 3 days we keep on discussing. And each time he told, I am disqualified, I am not up to the mark. So therefore he is not going to share with me. Each time it make me more and more pushed to some or the other contact. He being a foreigner to the Buddhism, I being a born Buddhist, he asked me a few questions about what is the meaning of Buddhism, what is the application for your life, kind of thing. Whatever the answer I am going to give, he is negating me, telling I am not really representing and therefore not worthwhile to talk with him and all the kind of thing. But anyway, I told that you have your own rights to placard me or whatever may be. But I am interested in keep on asking. Then I asked, if I ask you, what is the real meaning of Buddhism and how can we put into our life kind of thing, he told that single word, to mindfulness. I never heard about even this. Mindfulness is in the Buddhist jargon. And that is why he told that you are claiming as Buddhist, but you don't know the basic teaching of the Buddha, how to put into practice and kind of thing. Then I told, why don't you tell me about something about mindfulness and give me some ammunition so then we can fight each other. So then he started teaching me mindfulness. And so that is what I thought sharing with you also, the understanding the meaning of mindfulness. So now I am after 30 years, and for me, it's a simple equation. I would say the Buddhism for me means meditation. If the Buddhism is without meditation, that means a body without a head. It's just a body without the head. So therefore, the meditation is the most intrinsic and most core aspect of Buddhism. And in the meditation also, there's a huge amount of traditions and teachers, techniques and kind of thing. So I would rather summarize the meditation means insight meditation, vipassana meditation. And then vipassana is something very profound, very serious aspect. So how can we, at that time I was a layperson, as a layperson, how can we put into practice the whole profound teaching of vipassana? Then I put a single equation, vipassana means mindfulness. So now Buddhism means meditation, meditation means vipassana, vipassana means mindfulness. So the day you understand the literal meaning or the theoretical meaning of mindfulness, and that itself is quite a start. And it will not disturb your present cultural values or religious values or your approach to the Buddhism, but the mindfulness. So mindfulness, it has many shades of meaning, but to start with, I would like to mention, be here and now. Mindfulness means be here and now. If it is so, why it is so important to introduce this here and now into our life? How can that concept can cut through and give the answer for the question of who am I, way to peace, and way towards stress reduction, way towards spirituality. Because unless otherwise you introduce this idea of here and now, naturally mind is otherworldly. It is outwardly. It is always thinking about the past and the future, always thinking about other places and thinking about other people. Hardly it is coming and resting on this very moment of here and now. So therefore, one has to take a deliberate effort, not only just a practical way, we have to enrich our mind or our life with theoretical knowledge, deductive knowledge, and practical approach. So therefore, in a discussion like that, what I can do is, I start with giving some kind of a theoretical knowledge, basically not to introduce the whole thought regarding Buddhism, but just about the mindfulness. So mindfulness is be here and now. So in order to give a practical hints, we have to say, for a person like me, there are three approaches on the practical level. The pragmatic level, you can give the theoretical maximum situation where mindfulness can be practiced in an intensive method. That is what we call sitting meditation. In sitting meditation, you cut off visual objects, and by closing your eyes, go to a silent place. The eye will be, the ears will be not much agitated, and then you are not entertaining the smells or tasting any foods, and the body also keep it in such a way it can maintain itself without any intention. Body maintained by itself, our bodily actions, intentional actions stopped. And then focus your attention to present sitting posture. Be here and now. So that is what we call theoretical maximum or intensive method of understanding here and now, mindfulness. So there you will understand how difficult for one to calm, sit symmetrically and relaxed way and be contented with here and now, because our life is so hectic, so multitask, so challenging with different things. So therefore, just keeping still and attentive to this posture is very difficult. So therefore, even though it is the most intensive method, the beginners find not much attractive. Therefore, it has to alternate with semi-intensive method, what I call is walking meditation. Walking meditation is an alternative for sitting meditation, where either you can go outdoor or indoor. While you are pacing up and down, just try to be here and now. Their eyes are open, sounds are there, intentional action is there, and you are trying to experience the left leg, right leg, left leg. And they are the sitting and contemplating on your sitting posture or in and out breathing is very subtle, but instead in the walking meditation, they get the touch of the ground. Your left sole and the right sole touching the ground, and it is somewhat easier, But challenges are there because of the sights, sounds, intentional actions. So there, but anyway, that maintenance of that posture, walking posture, is easier for the beginner than sitting and closing eyes and living for 1 hour or 2 hours. So these are the two things we usually do when we come to a meditation center like this. But that will account for about 8 to 10 hours per daily schedule in a residential intensive meditation course. Balance 14 hours, we may use about hours for sleeping, bathing, washing, eating, all the kind of things. There also we can be mindful as and when circumstances are arising in our day-to-day activities. And here they are, whatever the intentional action you do, you may be washing dishes, washing your clothes, brushing your teeth, whatever may be, one thing at a time, and that done well. You do it in a very slow manner to be mindful. These are the 3 methods you can use as far as you are in a meditation center. And they are, sitting meditation is more intensive. You may find easy to understand what does it mean by mindfulness, because all the faculties are closed, that is directly given to this sitting posture. But when you go home back, very rarely you get time, a chunk of time to sit and repeat the same. So therefore it will be limited to the meditation center. The walking meditation is somewhat applicable, but there also you won't get a particular time allocated for walking, but you can repeat it in a way you are doing normal errands, going to the office, going to the supermarket or something like that, kind of a repetition. But whatever you gain in mindfulness in day-to-day activities in the monastery, that can be rarely repeated in the day-to-day activities when you back at home. So therefore, these are the 3 things, 3 ways I would like to introduce mindfulness into a beginner. So, if I am to give a descriptive explanation about how to sit and meditate, usually when you go to a meditation center, if it is a traditional Buddhist center, usually there may be a sitting statue of the Buddha depicting how calm, how serene he sits and entertain his sitting. So that is what we are going to repeat. That means we sit in the full lotus posture, or half lotus, or quarter lotus, and many can't do it. That does not indicate that you are not a good meditator. At the beginning, it's very difficult to sit in a completely cross-legged posture. Whatever may be, you have to sit very comfortably. Sit comfortably and make sure with your closed eyes, your left side and the right side is symmetrical. And all the muscles are relaxed. And then you just give the attention to this very relaxation. And the relaxation means you are with yourself. That means mind is not wandering more. It is not daydreaming. It is not fantasizing. If it is so, you know, this is not the word meaning of mindfulness. This is the wandering mind. This is daydreaming. This is fantasizing. And if you being here, if you are thinking about your home, office or somewhere else, that is also not the idealistic situation. And if you are worrying about the people around you, still not. So whenever the mind come and stay, here now I am sitting. This is the first and foremost practical way of introducing of the word meaning of mindfulness to oneself. I think that is not much difficult. Understanding. One can experience bringing the mind to the present moment. You may experience being here and now. I am sitting or I am here. But the task is for individual how to maintain this thought moment for series of thoughts, series of seconds, series of minutes. Because it is like tightrope walking. It is like walking along a footbridge. You can at a time you can give one single foot and you have to change it to the next foot without falling into the river. Like that maintenance of this thought moment. The here and now is a task. And that is what I would like to suggest you to do today at least for 30 minutes and see how much we can keep the posture, not the posture, the mindfulness on the posture, and to see how our monkey mind is. That is called mad monkey mind. It's jumping from the one to the other without any agenda. And that is the first and foremost sign who am I. That's the we can understand whatever the discipline we have in our day-to-day life, whatever the qualifications we have, whatever the upbringing, that everyone has the same weakness. We can't keep the mind. So it is not an individual mistake. It is not a unfortunate situation of us. That is the human mind. That is what we call untrained mind. But the unfortunate thing is, whenever and wherever you're going to understand under your very nose, mind is without any agenda, naturally you tend to discourage yourself. Thinking it is, I am very disqualified person, I can't keep the mind in track, therefore you think the meditation is not the answer, or I am not qualified for meditation because mind is not here and now. So, but you have to completely change your value system to say, this is the first and foremost result of meditation. Individually we come to know the mind is unruly. Mind is without any agenda. Mind is a monkey mind. So those who are, how to call it, facing the challenges like Girl Guides and the Scouts, take this as a challenge and face this monkey mind. You just instruct it to, whenever possible you come home, be here and now, and whenever you try to keep it here and now, it jumping from one to the other, thinking, or due to the bodily pains, or due to external sounds, distractions happen. So don't react, don't get agitated by this wandering mind. You just see that is the natural nature, it is the intrinsic nature of the mind, so it is not the individual mistake. So be patient, whenever possible, bring it back to the here and now. So bringing back to the here and now, you can justify in two ways. One thing is, be here and now means mindfulness. The second thing is, you are for the first time in the life going to live with yourself. You are going to sympathize yourself. Otherwise what you do is, you are much worried about the otherworldly, making loving kindness to others and live with others, but still you are a stranger to yourself. And at the deathbed only maybe you are meeting yourself. It is too late. But in the meditation, you get more and more opportunity to understand self, understand myself. So it is a kind of a loving kindness. And I would say, this is the only thought moment you are living. All the other times you are trying to live, planning to live, scheduling to live, and it's a dream. So this is a kind of an awakening, barely. You are here and now. You are experiencing, I am sitting, I am here, I am with me. So this is very strange. It's very adventurous. So by training, slowly you will understand you can live not only one thought moment, two thought moments, three thought moments, or few seconds, or few minutes. So much so, you get more acquaintance to be with, to understand the present. Here and now, I am sitting kind of a experience. Whenever that mind becomes introvert, mind try to understand myself, present moment. Mind try to understand the mindfulness. That means for the first time mind become introvert. It turned inwardly, and otherwise what happens is always due to the sounds and thoughts and pains, it is becoming extrovert. Or due to vision, or due to sounds, or due to smell, or due to taste, or due to touch, extrovert. So whenever it comes introvert, you have to be very patient. That trend is very painfully slow. To train mind to come and be at home. When that happens, sometimes some people, whenever the mind becomes introvert, going to feel the intrinsic character of living being, that is to say the breath. Sometimes the breath becomes very prominent when the mind becomes introvert, not extrovert. So this is a very good sign. But don't chase behind the breath. You just try to keep the mind here and now. I am sitting. When that happens, if the breath happens, that's a very good indicator. Mind is not extrovert, mind is introvert. And the breath indicates, here now I am breathing. Earlier you was, here now I am sitting. Here now I am being. And now breath. If the breath happens, that's a very good indicator. And then you try to be with the breath, but don't try to do force breathing to make it conspicuous. Just let the breathing to happen the normal way and observe it as and when it is arising, in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. And that is the immediate indicator whether you are mindful or not. And the mindfulness have yet another attribution. If you come to know the mindfulness for one split second, it's also an achievement. But maintenance is for few thought moments, few seconds, few minutes. By that time it is gathering kind of a momentum. It is gathering kind of acceleration, because no distraction from thoughts, no distraction from sounds, no smelling, no tasting, no other contact. The mind is only falling calm and quiet on the breath. The mindfulness gathers the momentum, that is, the mind and the object, so to say, the in-breath, become closer and closer. When they become closer and closer, the mindfulness becomes very strong. It gathers the momentum, it understands the ways and means how to maintain its strength. It is like a small child starting how to walk. Get up and give a few steps and fall down. And again get up and few steps and fall down. But it is not a mistake. That is an achievement for the child. Even the mother and the parents also helping and getting encouraged the way the small child is walking. Likewise, you understand by falling and getting up and falling and getting up, how to maintain the mindfulness on the breath for a few seconds, for a few minutes. And there are the ways and means you have to develop, will not be given by the Buddha, will not be given by the teacher. You yourself have to assimilate your own ways and means. And that is how in the sitting meditation you do, but the way I explain is the theoretical way, but when you are practicing, a lot of thoughts come and distract you. Little sounds and come and distract you. A lot of pain come and distract you. So there are also one rule of thumb. Whenever you have assigned task for the mind to be mindful with the breath or mindful with the sitting meditation, if a thought come and cross, our mind is very reactive. Sometimes be angry with the thought. And if someone make a noise, the sounds also, we are not welcoming, we become irritated. And when the bodily pain happens, again we feel sour in taste, not the sweet. So that is also one has to understand. Whenever such a distraction happens, naturally untrained mind is getting agitated and worked up and reactive. But you must be patient. just not to react, but to see mindfulness is no more due to the sound, due to the pain, due to the thought. But if you are reacting, the thought will be consistent, pain will be consistent, the sound distraction will be consistent. But if you are observing, if you have to observe in the non-reactional way, whenever that distraction is disappeared, again you can reinstall mindfulness on the breath. The reacting, you may lose the chance. Therefore, mindfulness to be continued, you must be non-judgmental, non-reactional way. Distractions may come and go off, so whenever possible, you keep the mind again on the primary object, on either sitting or in and out breathing. This is how you do in the sitting meditation, and you can't imagine, even at the very advanced level of meditation, stream of thought without distraction from the thoughts, a stream of thought moments without distraction of the thoughts, sounds and the pain. They are always there. And the thing is to get a distance from them, not to get disturbed by them. That is the most advanced level of mindfulness. So therefore, you are not trying to push it off. You are not trying to be reactive. You are understand. You try to maximize your time with the breath, amidst of sound, amidst of thoughts, amidst of pain. So that is how you maximize the time with the primary object. Maybe little sounds there, background sounds, background thoughts, background pains, but don't get agitated unless otherwise they really come and disturb. So this is the way we do sitting meditation, and beginner after 20 minutes start to get unbearable pain, because we are not trained ourselves to keep in one place. So, but even then it says start somewhere around 30 minutes and then go for walking meditation. And the walking meditation is the alternative for this set of problems you face in the sitting meditation. In the walking meditation, what we do is we change our posture. We go into a walking posture, and for that we have to have a lance, walking path. And in the traditional meditation center, there are some professional walking meditation path called Chankamana. But here we have to improvise either a pavement or a lawn or inside the house. It must be enough for about 30 normal steps. That means about to 40 feet stretch, level and straight landscape or area. You just walk up and down. In the sitting, if I have to give a comparison, in the sitting posture, once you assume the sitting posture, your figure, your shape will be just like a pyramid. Triangular shape, complete triangle is touching the ground, and the way you keep the hands and erect your upper part of your body, it is like a pyramid, or like an ant hill, or like a dagaba. That's the normal shape. But in the walking meditation, it is like a candle. It's like a stick. And before start walking meditation, you have to stand still and bring your attention to the standing body. Here, I am standing. And when the mind is ready to come and experience this standing body, you can compare it with the sitting body, and then it's a good start, good green light for go for walking meditation. First few minutes, just walk up and down without any meditation. Just walk in your normal speed and without any contemplation. Just as if you are familiarizing your path. You go to the other end, turn back, go to this end, and after a few minutes, if you come to know this is, I am not tossing any one part, this part is okay. Then again come and stand still again after a few minutes, and then pay the attention to the lower part of your body and just forget about the upper part. And that is why you have to either keep the arms tight in front of you or behind you, and then whenever the intentional movement of the right leg happens, you try to experience it, how the right leg or right sole touch the ground. And or sometimes some people will feel the weight of the leg or the placing of the leg. But there may be prominence at that moment. When the right leg is moving, you pay the attention to the right leg, and that once it is established, left leg will start, and there you pay the attention to the left leg and change the pace of mindfulness, the right leg, left leg, right leg, left leg. And if you can maintain this mindfulness, it is more dramatic than the sitting. In the sitting, the object is not changing. You are keeping the whole mindfulness with your sitting posture or the breath in one single point. But in the walking, it changes on the left leg, right leg to the left leg, right leg to the left leg. And the visions are there, sounds are there. Meanwhile, you try to keep the pace. And when you go to the other end, you turn and again come back to the same point, go there, come back. Keep the normal pace. Do not try to slow down your walking or accelerate your walking, normal way. So this is the semi-intensive method of development of mindfulness, and it is a kind of expansion from the sitting posture to the walking posture. And so besides this walking and sitting, as I mentioned, when you are doing the other normal activities like the eating, washing, kind of thing, not only you are giving the attention to the soul, you give the attention even to the palms. Until you are going to touch with your hands or the legs, and you try to be mindful there. These fingers and toes are the tentacles. We often feel the touch sensation. So wherever when you are washing and kind of thing, you be aware, be mindful on the touching sensation. So therefore in the day-to-day activities, not only the soul, even the palms, you use all the epidermis is sensitive for tactile sensation. So to the warm air, cool air, and the kind of thing. These are the things we try to make it accuse as the object of mindfulness in day-to-day activities. So this is very, very thin, very diluted form of mindfulness because of a lot of challenges. And therefore you have to use intensive method sitting, semi-intensive method walking, and the extensive method like day-to-day activities. The day you understand the relationship between these three is the way you become a professional or skillful yogi. At the beginning you develop as three different ways. Ultimately you will understand if you are, if you can manage to maintain a certain amount of mindfulness in the day-to-day activities, then it has a good effect on your sitting. And after sitting, number of hours, you can maintain the integrity to have mindfulness in the little hectic way, hectic things with the day-to-day also. They have complementary effect with the latter part of your life. So for today, within 2 or 3 hours, we can't do all. We are just introducing and then recognize which is the most fruitful, effective method to start with. Sitting or walking or day-to-day activity. So I am in Nissarana, as Anuruddha mentioned, that is not the biggest meditation center in Sri Lanka. We have only 20 monks and about 45 years we have history. There are a lot of other big meditation centers. We are moderate place, and many people come there have basic understanding about meditation and sitting, we are emphasizing again and again on the walking meditation. This is the only thing we add to their life. Then only they understand how to incorporate sitting, walking and day-to-day activities so that meditative life will be a hobby rather than regimentation. As you mentioned that American way of life, wherever may be today, very, very active, very, very challenging. And the sitting itself won't give the answer. Walking meditation make a marvel. So, but the thing is, anyone who accepts that life is very challenging and time-consuming kind of thing, their natural tendency is to go and sit whenever the time permits, and to walking they think it is like a wastage of time. I think that is a big mistake. Because walking meditation is the one, make your mind ready and prepare for the sitting meditation. Just like athletes, when they go to the ground, they usually won't go to the event. First they do is warming up their body, running around the ground and warm up. So walking meditation is the warming up situation. And once you do 35 minutes or more about walking meditation, that itself will suggest you to go and sit. Then I can assure you successful sitting rather than going and sitting directly. Specifically, remember not to go for sitting meditation after the good sleep. Because if you go and sit again, the slimy mind, the thought and torpor may come and you feel like drowsy. Instead, best thing is if you are going to sit after the morning, waking up, first do walking meditation and then go. And the next thing is after a good meal, square meal, you won't go and sit because the drowsiness sets in. You have to do walking meditation. If you are recovering from a big disease and if the body is healing, don't go much for sitting meditation. Do as much as possible walking meditation. Then it will give the green light to go and sit. And you people as parents, if you have any children, you wish to train meditation, don't pull them for sitting. Ask them to do walking meditation with you all. They will be very happy. Younger children, their life is very dynamic, they can't sit and wait. But instead, walking meditation is good. So therefore, walking meditation going between the sitting and day-to-day activities, and it's a pacemaker, warming up and mobilizing your energies. And so give a fair value, fair time, fair understanding on the walking meditation, then not only it is going to give an idea of who am I. Walking meditation is very good in maintenance of your health, because that our palms and the soles have reflections. And when you are walking, specifically on the sand bed, all your reflections get stimulated like a reflexology massage, and then all your vital organs will give enough oxygen and enough nervous stimulation, and that is how you can keep the vigilance, keep the mindfulness or diligence in sitting. So therefore walking meditation is the one I would like to emphasize. Even for the senior meditators, it makes something new. So what I suggest is, now time is almost 9 o'clock. You can go for one walking meditation first and come and sit for one session. Shall we go for 30 minutes each, or can we go for 1 hour each? 30 minutes. So before going to the walking, do you have any points to be clarified, or questions or statements or any objections for my talk? You mean the mind of value of mindfulness?
Why value?
You have to just simply say, mindfulness thoughts moments are the only thought moments you are living. Others you are in a dream. You are off the track. You are dislodged, either time-wise or space-wise. If you wish to bring the mind to the space and time here and now, that is very vigilant, very diligent, very living. Otherwise you can live in your dream. And that is why the American life means. The advertising world and the communication, information media, and keep you always dislodged from the present moment. So this is called power of now. And I think you go to the Eckhart Tolle's talks, power of now. He doing marvel. Overnight he became a teacher. He don't talk about power of mindfulness. He's talking about power of now. And ask anyone, if someone is waking, to get up, that's all. And first and foremost, you have to get up yourself. And then you can live in the present moment. And that's a challenge for people living in a dream, living in the past and the future. And therefore, it's a very, not religious, it is a very kind of early approach. If you wish to live this human life, at least keep few minutes within your life to be here and now. So that is how you are going to live. And more you live, your vital energy, the healing powers, and the good vibrations going to take care about you. That's the best way of radiating loving kindness to oneself. Otherwise you are using this body as a lever system or machine or only geared for economical, political and social aims. You are just forgetting about yourself and your well-being. And people in the age group where you have to earn to maintain your children, to sometimes maintain your parents, maintain the economy of the country, and therefore parents will be happy when you are working more and more overtime. The children also will be happy you bring a lot of money home by doing all the kind of things. And the country also will be. But no one is concerned about your health. Even you yourself. That's a crime. I mean, that's the biggest erosion in the present economic values. So if you are not taking care about yourself, your health, who the hell, other will be happy to draw money. Happy like a very good loving kindness and consideration, that is only monetary. And therefore you people running the economy, running the thing, have to have at least out of 24 hours, 50 minutes to take care about yourself. And that is to bring the mind here and now. So therefore mindfulness is very electric thing. And it has a big secular value. And there's one person put it in this way: if you read the heroes of any culture, they have become hero by themselves. And if you study, knowingly or unknowingly, they have appreciated mindfulness. That is how they became successful in a very challenging time, very disastrous time. They maintain mindfulness, and mindfulness is the savior. And the Buddha is the first one recognized mindfulness as the mindfulness, and he told, more than the faith, more than the energy, more than the concentration, more than the wisdom, mindfulness is the most trustworthy friend, trustworthy companion for your long journey. Either instead of mindfulness you can trust upon your faith. I mean, that also do faith marvels, but unreliable. At a time, faith come and help you, but at a time it is quite unheedful. And the energy also, at a time it do marvels, but not credible. But the day you give the real value for mindfulness, it never let you go. It always gathering the momentum. Slowly, it is in the ever-increasing graph. And it is becoming your trustworthy companion, not on the secular life, and even to the spiritual path. So therefore, first and foremost you have to taste it, you have to experience it, and then share it with your dear and near ones. You can't give your mindfulness to your dear and near ones, you can just tell them, mindfulness is one faculty only endowed with the human mind, not with any other animals. And if you are not employing, or if you are not mobilizing it, you are losing the opportunity. You are not really making use it, and the moment you are going to give the due value for the mindfulness, once the mindfulness come up to a certain level, it will take care about your future, take the proper decision, and the priority selection, and the management decision. It will ultimately you can trust upon the mindfulness, and it will lead you.
Question with all respect. I noticed that you kept your legs in the same posture during last 1 hour while I'm struggling to keep myself sitting. Do you feel pain? Yes.
But I feel it's there. But as I mentioned that 30 years I am struggling with that. And at the beginning, it was always to keep how difficult. Now you don't believe I can go for full lotus posture and live 1 hour. So it is still, I think I have to achieve some more. So when I go to lotus posture, I usually go with the left leg first, and then go for the right leg. So this is not the full lotus in the theoretical way. You have to go the right first, and then the left is the theoretical. So when I go here, you can see the triangle is completely touching the ground, and not a single bone is on the ground. So wherever you sit, it is cushion, even flat. So then you can maintain. After a while, you get some feelings, but they are somewhat bearable, and later mind understand, the body understand mind-body system. That is the lasting posture can you for longer time. So even now, still I am struggling to go for the right leg first and the left leg. Then I can't go beyond 30-20 minutes and then start, because that whole triangle is not touching the ground. So then you have to start with the right leg. Usually leg has a kind of a space, and then it is not balanced. So then I have to keep something aside. And again the body is not managing by itself. I have to adjust it and all the kind of things. So I have to, that means still I am in the training. So when I am doing, recently there was one yoga master who is mastering of the yoga. He came and asked me, give the other way so that body feel comfortable. And when you go there, the body is adjusting itself, and then the hip bone has to pull. And then only it knows how to rest. So if you wish to do it, I don't know whether you have time for this kind of thing. You have to train the widening of your hip bones. So when you are keeping the legs like that, I don't know whether you can see. So you have to keep as long as possible, held as close as possible, and hold it. And this is called a butterfly movement. Daily you have to. So before sitting, do little bit of this, so then it will get mobilized. And then you find easy to sit, and because you can get the benefit of it. So daily, if you can do it, slowly you will understand, you can go little more and more closer. And one day,
your muscles are pulling.
Yeah, you feel it. And don't overstress. Just do little by little daily. And then ultimately, so the day you come, hitting the heel completely into your body, and then still go complete, this is the way you have to do little by little. So therefore these exercises is helping you to understand the body. And you will understand, even in walking, even in sitting, never you are balanced. That indicates body is sick. Our exercises in our jobs never balance. You understand, our right hand is much active than the left hand, unless otherwise you are a left hand. So if you stretch it and see, the right hand is usually darker in color, longer and more muscles. Exactly the same right and the left leg. When you are doing walking very carefully, if you study, you can see if you are a person dynamic in the right leg, left leg is just dragging to cope up with. And you are leaning rather than walking. But if you are a person with the left leg is the driven force, drive force, right leg becomes the driven force, and it is just pacing up with the left and the right. Unless otherwise you do walking meditation, you will never diagnose yourself. All the exercises you do in a professional are imbalanced. And when you are driving cars and not walking and all the kind of, you are making more and more artificial. So ultimately body has to lot of cope up with this imbalance. So instead of complete whole 24 hours of economic and political social aim, if you give a loving kindness to your body, live with your body, sit comfortably, walk for the sake of walking, then only one day it will let you know you are imbalanced. In Sri Lankan way it says that crabs, pakota, crabs. The crabs are walking cross-way and they can't walk directly. And the crabs are used to tell their children, hey, you people are not walking straight, walk straight will do. But the children are, when they are looking back at the parents also not walking in a direct way, they are cross-way. So we are also advising our children to be balanced and all the kind of thing. The day you understand you yourself are not balanced, where are the rights you have to tell the children to do good things? As far as you don't know, you are imbalanced. You are completely not in harmony with the nature. You tend to tell others, the day you see you are not in harmony, you are not in balance, you may feel like imposing others, you may share with others. So that is why it says that sitting meditation and walking meditation is a huge way of developing loving kindness to oneself. Otherwise we are missing the present moment. But we are not coming from the princely families or kingly families, so we have to earn something. And that invariably you have to. So give about that 23 hours out of 24 and take 1 hour for your own sake, for your own balance, for your own harmony with the nature. I think it is not unfair. Oh, one is concerned about you, everyone is taxing you. Sorry, I am not telling anything uncompassion, compassion. You people are taking care about everything. So who the hell is going to take care about yourself? So therefore, mindfulness, we can say, mind your own business. That's the last. It appears like very selfish. It appears like very unsocial. But if you are not minding your own business, you are burning the candle from both ends. It is not really burning in the healthy way, so it's melting off. So the Buddha is the one to give a balanced answer while you are living. You are putting the candle upright and 1 week, and then it's lasting. Some time it helps you. So therefore the people engage in their active life, take care about themselves. The day you understand the mindfulness, you can see it's very difficult to pass your mindfulness into your dear and dear life. But only you can tell them the value of mindfulness, the ways and means to develop mindfulness, benefits of the mindfulness. If they are ready to listen, good and well. Otherwise, don't fight with. And they have to be mature. Then only they will come and take the value of it. So that nowadays we are happy, we are lucky. There are a lot of books This is not mindfulness. And in that sense, the America is leading on that sense. The America is the ground where in 4 years or 5 years time, mindfulness is going to sell as the best-selling medicine in the world. Because when the mindfulness comes into being, it has no side effects, no after effects. And the thing is, pharmaceutical industry will not be happy because they won't get the cut. The Buddha gave 2,600 years ago, that no one listened. They told that a pill or injection or operation would do, and the rest of the time you can work for the multinational companies. When the mindfulness comes into being, for the moment it has shown the remarkable results on the blood pressure, the heart situation, stress reduction. And they are now at the national level, that they have accepted in the US government. And now they are giving the funds in a way to promote more and more techniques regarding mindfulness. So therefore, we born Buddhists from the Asia, when I read American books, I get a lot of terminology. Earlier it was ineffable, very difficult to communicate, but now American books, the top class scientific books, quantum physics, Taoist theory, near-death experience, they are talking invariably the mindfulness. And ultimately the best person, I don't know whether you have heard about John Kabat-Zinn, he had given a very nice explanation about the mindfulness in the Man and Life conference, and asked His Holiness Dalai Lama, Bhante, is mindfulness a Buddhist? Dalai Lama said it is human. Mindfulness is a human kind, but if you are not exploring into that, sorry. But the Buddha is the only one found the real value of mindfulness and is really anchored his teaching on the mindfulness, that is in Pali we call sati, or a synonym if I am to find it, the appamada, the diligence. So this is the crux of the teaching of the Buddha. So if your life, even as a traditional Buddhist, is lack of mindfulness and diligence, you are misrepresenting the Buddhism. The moment you reinstall it and start it, you feel like, Buddha means the awakened one, you feel like awakening factor. Slowly, slowly, slowly it's coming to be. So therefore it's a hell of a mental factor to make loving kindness to oneself. And to keep the mind very alert, very vigilant, very diligent, be here and now, and ultimately it will lead, it will sort out all the emotional problems and all the mental and physical health problems, but it takes time. It is not a quick way. Once it gathers the momentum, it starts its electric values, electric nature. And at the beginning, it is painfully slow. So you have to give a proper value to it, and don't rush, don't go for result-oriented kind of thing. Invest sometimes, and then slowly, slowly, it is going to give the benefits.
I wonder if I should not use a cushion. Is that one natural ways to sit is without a cushion?
I'll get cushion. Cushion, yeah. Cushion. So at the beginning, I also used to have a cushion to make yourself comfortable, and so don't be very, extremist, either not to use the cushion or just to sit on the hell of a cushion. So start with somewhere else where you feel comfortable, and slowly, slowly you will understand. You become independent. More and more you become independent, more and more you become contented. Otherwise you have to travel everywhere with the cushion. And when I go to Burma, I went to first to the Chamye Yekta, who the Janakavi one said, he vehemently told no cushions. Even the Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana, they never use cushion, no cushion. So when I go there, I found it difficult because in the Nissarana, we used to use cushion. So what I did was, usually monks we are using this fitting cloth. So I cut it open and put inside the piece of cloth so that it is making a pad. So when I go to Panditarama, there's one thin cushion, about 1 inch, completely enough, and he says, don't bend it, just use the cushion. So use for the utility value. Don't go depend upon that. Don't be, how do you call it, say that without that you can't do life. So start at the beginning, be pragmatic. And you have to understand, once you go this full lotus posture, even the flat ground, you become cushioning. Your own bones never touch the ground, and then you can come. But I would like to specifically mention, without if you can't go to full lotus posture, it is not a disqualification for you to be a meditator. Some elderly people and physically ill people, they can take a meditation chair or bench or cushion and make the upper part of the body erect at the beginning. And if the mindfulness is catching, slowly you do your experiment, lifelong experiment, to get the best posture. So cushion, keep it a variable factor. Don't go into make a firm determination completely with the cushion, no, completely without the cushion. Do accordingly. When your mind is very energetic and looking forward, you feel like sitting on the ground. But sometimes it is asking for cushion and all the other facilities. Okay, shall we go now for 30 minutes of walking meditation? What we do is, about a few minutes, you just walk up and down, and then start to give the attention to the left leg and the right leg. And whenever you feel enough, maybe 30 minutes, come and take seat using the cushion as you like, and then go for another 30 minutes of sitting meditation. And after that, we can have another discussion with our little experience. Okay? Thank you very much for listening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We have taken one session of walking meditation and one session of sitting meditation. We have about 45 minutes left behind. So I invite you for a discussion. So if you have any questions or statements or any something worthwhile to discuss, please come out.
Or can you, there are pains and can you focus on the body?
Repeat the question for the people behind. The question is, when you are going for sitting meditation, should one focus the attention directly on the breath, or can take other bodily sensation also as a object of meditation? The answer is, when you go for sitting meditation, just try to be with your body and be here and now with your body as such, as a one whole unit. And that means you are aware of sitting posture, or you are aware of the present moment. And while there, if the mind is calmed down, if the mind become introvert, then only you will start to feel the breath. If that happens naturally, you take the breath as the object of meditation, otherwise you take the body. When and where the breath becomes difficult, you come back to your whole body, either pain, or just being, or just understanding the sitting posture. The simple rule of thumb is, the prominence of the object is the leading factor. If everything is suspense and the breath becomes prominent, you take it as the primary object. Otherwise, the pain is become prominent, or sounds or thoughts, you take according to the prominence of the object, and don't adhere to whatever the object arises. When and where there is no object, there is no distraction, there is no secondary object, there we take the breath as the primary object. If it happens naturally, otherwise don't chase behind. Don't force yourself to go back to the breath, then all the tension. So take the prominency Whatever the object prominent will take the lead. When compared to this question in the sitting, walking, still you take the right leg and the left leg as the right and the left leg as the primary object, and when and where there are no distractions, you use the left and the right. But if other something happens, something like a sound or visual objects or any other kind of thing, equally you note it, and when and where there are no other distractions, you come back to the primary object. So therefore, don't make complications as to utility value of the primary object. Utility value of primary object is when and wherever there are no other distraction, that you consider as your coming home, back home. That is the utility value of the primary object.
What's slow? Try to understand because it's a mad mind.
This is also somewhat related to the first question. If I am to repeat the question, what to do when there are some astray thoughts or wandering thought happens? Should one come back to the primary object or be aware of the thoughts? The beginner specifically says that people, those who have the Western thinking, they are always complaining about the thinking. Thinking mind or thoughts or wandering thoughts or daydreaming, fantasizing becoming a problem. So that is also maybe a problem only because you are meditating, otherwise it is not a problem. You are always thinking, you don't know, because there is nothing to maximize. But in the sitting, there is a neutral object, something like the breath or the sitting, and when that happens only the thought becomes problematic. So therefore, for the beginners, thought appear like an enemy or something like something to be discouraged or appear like a mistake. But you have to put it in other way around, as to this is the first and foremost result of your meditation. You come to know how busy is the mind. That always, when and where you try to introduce a neutral object, it becomes agitated. It becomes more and more going to thoughts. So therefore, as far as you are not meditating, it is not a problem. Once you introduce the meditative subject, then the thought becomes very prominent. So main thing is not to antagonize it. And as far as thoughts are there, you just be aware, thinking, or wandering, or daydreaming, daydreaming, and be aware of it. And in assuming on non-reactional way, you let it happen, after a while it will subside. Or sometimes, if you are skillful enough, you may see, while the thoughts are there, still you can see the sitting posture or the breath. See through, this is called seeing through, and then you must be sharp to understand, does that thinking pattern disturb your breath, or breath is just calm and quiet. Sometimes you may see, even though mind appear to be engaged with the thought, the breath is very calm and quiet. It is happening in the normal phase. If that is the case, whenever you go back to the breath, you become calm. Whenever you come back to the thinking, the mind becomes agitated. So, when it is doing like that, the day you understand how to see through the thoughts, it's an adventurous way. It's an adventure. Then the mindfulness becomes very strong. Something like you try to walk in a busy street, even though busy street is full of people, still you can walk. You can take the space for few steps. Likewise, don't make a case to worry about the thoughts. And if that is the case, these thoughts are, in the meditation jargon we call, inner thoughts or background thoughts. They are not much forceful. They are just coming just to occupy the mind. There is no message over there. Or sometimes they are not trained thoughts, they are not chained thoughts, just thoughts. If you recognize it, you must not expect, or you must not have a theoretical maximum to have thoughtless mind. Mind is always with thoughts. But when it is fully pregnant with desire or hatred or something like that, then only the mind becomes very savory. Mind gets caught up with. But whenever there are some inner thoughts, you must not be serious about, or you must not be worried about. You must try to find seeing through this kind of thoughts and still work with the breath. And then it is, you gain kind of a determination power. You gain kind of a mental power not to get distracted by this inner kind of thoughts. Basically, whenever the body posture becomes mastered, you will start to go again and again to the breath. When the breath becomes your primary object, the respiratory tract must be straight. Otherwise, if it's bending or something happen, the breathing process will be disturbed. And you are developing kind of headaches and muscular pains. So therefore, the tract must be clear. And so that is why the upper part of the body must be erect. But even then, it's a very irony, when the concentration come into being, when the mindfulness becomes continuous, again your body posture becomes slack. At the beginning you are very straight and you try to keep it in a regimenting manner. But once the mindfulness and the concentration are going to get the momentum, that body is going to take its own slack kind of posture. And there are sometimes, you may find the head is sometimes bending forward or to a side, or the body is leaning to some side, and you are well aware of it, but still the continuity of the mindfulness is there. Still the continuity of the concentration is there. Under such circumstances, don't try to rigid, make it straight. Just be aware, it is just leaning, it is just slack. But still, you must be sharp to understand that my continuity of the mindfulness is there. The impact with the breath is there, the concentration is there. If that is the case, don't try to bring it back to the straight, upright position. And by just being aware of that body is slack, continuity is there, and sometimes by this mere awareness, again you become energetic and body will erect, body will come to the balance situation by itself. If that is happening, no problem, but don't try to get involved with this recorrection, getting middle of the sitting.
Come like physical irritation, like a cough or...
It is also just like thoughts. These things happen in our day-to-day life, but never become a problem. But when the mind becomes very calm, very sharp, very precious, then these irritation become amplified. Even tiny things, the irritation of the throat, salivation, and some sensitive part of the earlobes and around the nose and the nails, going to give a special kind of signals that indicates the mind is now calming down. The sensitivity is increasing. It is well observed fact. When the mind becomes calm, if you become mindful and concentrated, your epidermis, that is a tactile part of your outermost skin, become amplified. So, if you are not aware of it, if you are not prepared for that, ultimately you make complications with that. So if you are aware, this is because of the sharpness of the mind, this is because of the well-focused nature of the mind, then you can be, you can put up with that, and you can build the continuity of the mindfulness. Therefore, it is, if you are prepared, if you are aware of it, you are better off. Otherwise, all the time you are complaining, telling that some people feel ants are crawling along the body, or sometimes feel like water flowing across the body, or some sensation, specifically this area become like a mask, or like benumbed, or sometimes the throat, and sometimes at the eyes. I feel like a fly come and resting over their life. So these things are good signs, the indication of a sensitivity of the mind. But due to your love, due to your desire for the body, you immediately become physically get involved, wiping and kind of thing. Ultimately, you will understand this is not really external contact, it's a mind-made. Many are mind-made, and more you observe, you see, even when you are not in meditation, these things are happening. But our mind is so gross. It is always engaged with the outside, so therefore they are gone unnoticed. Because you are outwardly, worrying outwardly. But when you become self-conscious, these things going to become more prominent.
Back to those, so we just let it go, then you know how we are.
At the beginning, the reaction happened due to the untrained mind. So you must be aware, you must go prepared. First day, second day, definitely you react. Either open your eyes or wipe it off or do something. And later you come to know it is not physical something or realistic, it is something mind-made. And therefore you feel like experimenting with further. And when I was in Nilambe, and there are a lot of mosquitoes in and out the meditation hour. So when they happen that when you sit and calm down, again mosquito come and start to pierce, and you develop the fear whether I develop malaria or dengue or whatever may be, then onward you can't test. And again that is gone, and again you try to make up your mind and see. And again another mosquito come and start to bite. It's a struggle. So one lady, a foreign lady, she came and sit on the meditation hall, ultimately found no way. But she ultimately thought, okay, never mind. I will try to cope up with it. Never mind. Let the mosquito come and bite. Let the malaria happen, whatever. Ultimately she go and sit outside. And one mosquito came and started complete game. And she managed to somehow the other tolerate and see the end of it. And then lose complete this thing and become very tense. And again, mosquito came and started. And now she lose the controlling power and open her eyes and see it's not a mosquito, a butterfly. And she usually come and rest on the body, and I expected some kind of a negative and very damaging one, but instead the butterfly, so she was thrilled, and again closing the eyes and meditating on the butterfly. But again, due to your over-enthusiasm, she opened the eyes and in a way balanced thinking. And then she has observed opened eyes and see her friend is chasing behind a butterfly with the catcher to catch it and bring it back to the German. And she developed a hatred towards her friend now, such an innocent butterfly. And she came here for meditation, now chasing behind the butterfly to catch it. And then she told, now mind is not with meditation, but with the hatred to the friend, specifically still with the butterfly, but outwardly. Ultimately, she wrote everything in detail when we are meditating. This is how the mind is sending kites, dreaming. So slowly you have to put up with. And at the beginning, of course, reactional mind is happening. But later when you go there, a very important thing happens. When the mindfulness and the concentration happen, your blood circulation to the skin going to reduce. And it is centralized to only your the organs internal organs, and the supply to the skin reduces. Under such circumstances, mosquitoes come and find a better place to get blood, no blood. So there you can see mosquito coming and resting on different places, and if you get agitated, but blood circulation immediately goes to the skin, mosquito gets a bite. But if you keep the calm and quiet, you can see mosquito lost, and you are the winner. And deep meditation bring the blood circulation to the central nervous system and not to the skin, and there the mosquito is the loser. So these are, at the very advanced level you can understand that kind of thing. But otherwise, mosquito is the winner, usually. Or anything happen, you open your eyes and react, and that is the way you give a full blood circulation to the skin. You become red, you become very worked up with. And that is how the mosquitoes are exploiting our emotions. Answer is the walking meditation. In the walking meditation, no such questions. The pains are completely cut off. You are mindful. Still you are keep the track with the left leg and right leg. So once you have completed the successful sitting meditation and come and sit, you will find that your time, a comfortable sitting time, will be doubled. Usually 1 hour of walking meditation will give you 35 minutes of comfortable sitting. Whatever may be the posture, whether you are sitting on a chair or sitting on a meditation bench or a cushion or barely on the ground, the walking meditation is giving you a chance to the sitting become comfortable. You feel like sitting. Up to that point, you have to do walking meditation and sit. And then you can understand the advancement. The longer you walk, more you can sit. And it is not an individual question. Each and everyone has to go through it. And by seasoning only, you develop the time period.
In your mind to be present and
so if it is so, I have to continue further. So whenever the mind becomes calm and collected on the posture, you are most probably you will confront with the natural breath. You can then replace the being by in-breath and out-breath. And there you can be face-to-face with the in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath. And when that happens, naturally you will see the breathing takes place dynamically only in the upper part of the body, and therefore you can just forget about the lower part. Let the lower part to take care about itself and be aware of the upper part of the body. And that is one step ahead. Meditation becomes more straightforward than the posture. And you know now, the breathing takes place, it's natural breathing. Don't do force breathing. That's the only thing you have to take care. And when that happens, if the mind is looking forward, if the mind is still energetic, then you can understand within the upper part of the body, what is the most touching point of the breath, most prominent rubbing point of the breath. And for example, the uppermost part of the respiratory tract or the nostrils or top of your lip, that will be prominent at the early part of your breathing because it is very rough, very gross. And if it is so, the moment you focus that particular point, the moment you isolate that particular point, you can forget about the whole body and be aware of that particular point. And the Burmese method is that in the rising and falling of the abdomen, because some people find this is very subtle, and therefore due to the subtlety you can't perceive it. It's sometimes you may see the diaphragm moving and the rising and falling. If that is the lowermost part of the respiratory tract, if it is so, you keep the attention focus, that is for one-pointedness, only to the rising and falling or to the in-breath and out-breath, and just leave the body to maintain by itself. And that is one step ahead, just like the first gear, the second gear, now we are in the third gear. And while you are keeping, it is a challenge for your meditative mind to see, when the in-breath happens, you may understand no connection with it. Out-breath is a completely different phenomena. And in-breath has its own intrinsic characteristic to say this is not out-breath. And when the out-breath happens, you can see out-breath has its own natural characteristic, not common with the in-breath. So this is out-breath, not in-breath, like the sharpness increases. So otherwise you have to monitor in such a way to see the in-breath as in-breath, see the out-breath as out-breath. Left leg means left leg, and right leg is right leg. For example, the walking meditation, at the beginning you just see the standing posture and walking body. And then in the effective way you take the attention onto the lower part of your body and forget about the upper part. When the right leg is moving, you must equally be skillful to forget about the left leg. When the left leg is moving, you are very sharp on the left leg, you must be sharp to forget about the right leg. Likewise, you are specifying, pinpointing. This is called one-pointedness. So, moment you understand right, left versus right, in-breath versus out-breath, rising versus falling, this is called thin slicing of time. Time is cut into small slices and see intrinsic feature of the in-breath, intrinsic feature of out-breath. That is how the sharpness increases. You penetrate through the object and the distance between the object and the observing mind become closer and closer and closer. More and more you go into the details, less and less distraction from the thoughts, less and less distraction from the sounds, less and less distraction from the pain happening. That does not indicate thoughts are going to ceases to exist. The pains are going to ceases to exist, or sounds. But the midst of thoughts and sound kind of thing, your connection with the primary object increases. So this is a very good criterion to indicate your mindfulness is gathering the moment. And when such a thing happens, you will be endowed with concentration also, focused attention, and there you will understand that in-breath and the out-breath itself is representing the whole universe. More and more you go into understand the in-breath and out-breath, more and more you become very sharp and one-pointed, but within these two, all the characteristics of the materiality, the heat element, the water element, the air element, the earth element, all the characteristics are there. So in the physics, this is holographic representation, everything is representing everything. If you analyze one particular tiny thing, it is a representative of the whole universe. But instead, if you are going to learn the whole universe, you will never end up with, because it is external. This is internal. You go deep into, this is like particle physics. So going into the electron microscopic observation of particles. So like when you go deeper and deeper, your understanding, or how do you call the experiential understanding, make you a trip from known to unknown, from gross to the subtlety, from egocentric kind of understanding to the egoless kind of understanding which is universal. So therefore, then onward, what I say is that the moment you understand the rising versus falling, in-breath versus out-breath, left versus right, that's a very good indication. Once that becomes your hobby, then onward mindfulness will take care about it and it will take you through the journey. Less and less my meditation becomes something doing, instead it will be something happening. In the modern terminology, I would say, you put into the autopiloting and then plane will start to go. But when it is take off, everything must be under the pilot's control. And when I discussed with the pilot, he told, till the plane go up to the 100 feet, naturally it is under the hand of the pilot. After 100 feet, then onward, the autopiloting can go, take place. After 1000 feet or something like that, he gives the chance to leave aside the belt and you can get up and go. So meditation also, till you go up to the 100 feet, everything is something you do. You have to master. You have to control yourself. You have to discipline yourself. And afterwards you can let the mindfulness to take off. But even though technically that is appear to be autopiloting, but no one let go it. Everyone wants to fork their fingers. And never let it autopiloting. Everywhere you try to manipulate it. That is the ego. That is our selfish way. That is our egocentric way. Even the meditation is going to take place by its own accord. We ourselves do not know how to withdraw and observe. Because in a day-to-day life, we always develop our way of poking fingers into the other psychologies, unwanted things. So meditation is giving a very introvert kind of way. When the time happens, you must let the mindfulness to take off and control it, and you slowly withdraw. Whenever a situation goes beyond the control, again you take it under control and correct it. And again, take it to the autopilot. That is how the natural relaxation happens. Natural giving up happens. Naturally, the tension releasing happens. So therefore, the meditation in terms of mindfulness is very electric. But whenever it is go off the track, you must know how to bring it back to the track and again gather the momentum and let the mindfulness to take off. Let the mindfulness to take care of it. And then onward it is like a hobby. There is something happening. So, whatever may be the skillfulness of the mindfulness, again and again, going off the balance happens. Each time, best lesson is you must behave like a beginner. So you have to train the beginner's mind. Any time it can go off, whenever it go off, you must know the way how to start ABC. 1, 2, 3. And then the humbleness, the accommodating kind of mind. Not to react, not too arrogant. Whatever goes wrong, you correct it and give the chance to the mindfulness to go off. As far as mindfulness is controlling, you withdraw yourself. Whenever a situation goes wrong, you know how to start with the ABC. And then that can be applied to your day-to-day life also. In your family problems also. Your education, your creativity, your productivity, everything. Even the top class management, you must understand how to develop the labor division of labor. If it is not so, you are an arrogant controller, arrogant master, you never develop the rapport with the people you are working. So, division of labor is a very good way of skillfulness in the management. And in the meditation also it is happening in a painfully but slow way. I would rather rephrase your question. In my case, I never use the concentration. I would say, be mindful about the question. Understanding the question is the crux of the problem, rather than concentrating on the problem. So therefore, in the meditation or in maths or in arts or anything, everywhere, wherever may be, when a question happens, when a problem happens, don't look at the problem from the concentration point of view. Look at the problem from the mindfulness, that is, see things as they are, rather than the concentration. Whenever the concentration is going to happen, the tension invariably comes into being. But if you base your question, base your approach, based upon the mindfulness, your task is rather diagnostic, not the concentration based. So therefore, this is a kind of an attitude, this is a kind of an approach, a view. That is why I told that in the meditation world, conventional meditation world, I think the problem is they are based upon the concentration. So I would rather invite to take a step back. Based upon the mindfulness, it's because mindfulness is the proximate cause for the concentration to happen. So whether may be a maths, or any art, or any creativity, you first and foremost try to understand the problem. Even the Einstein, when he's explaining, he told the crux of the maths is understanding the problem. Once you understood, the answer is there. And then you have to write in a sequential manner for the examiner to understand. Your understanding happens with the understanding of the question, then you know what kind of equation to use, what kind of theorem to use, and then answer is there. So in the day-to-day activity also, don't rush to the answer. Be patient to understand the question. Understand things as they are. That is the difference between the concentration and the mindfulness. So out of that I find the mindfulness is very, very practical. Very, very pragmatic, and as far as the mindfulness-based approach is concerned, everything already have with you. Nothing you can expect from the outside. Nothing you can complain telling, I can't answer this question because I am lacking that. But if you are hoping and expecting the concentration, you have a lot of other list which you do not have for the moment. The mindfulness is already an endowment. Question whenever happen, if you take the mindfulness-based approach, you feel you have all the raw materials. It's a matter of understanding the diagnosis of the question. And in the medical science also, if you not diagnose it, many medicine you can recommend, but you are not sure. The day you diagnose the problem, then you can really understand what is the antidote, what is the medicine is. In our case, we must be little patient to diagnose ourselves, diagnose our question, diagnose our complexity, and then many scientists and even the Buddha says, very diagnosis is the answer. Moment you diagnose, answer is there. That is what the Buddha says in the Sabbasava Sutta, Dassana Pahadabba. Moment you see the question, it will be, you are relieved. There is no particular medicine, there is no particular magic formula. Just see the problem answer. So it's a kind of a radical, it's a kind of a not conventional kind of answer. And for my life I find there is nowhere you cannot apply this. Each and every subject, if you are patient enough to see the problem as it is, answer is there. But now present day knowledge is distorted. It says the answer lies outside, and therefore more than analyzing the question, more than diagnosing the question, you are rushing to an answer. That answer is always artificial. It has a lot of side effects, a lot of after effects. But if you are patient enough to understand the question, answer is itself is there, and it is verily within your capacity, and you develop confidence. Whenever the question arises, it is nothing to get discouraged, nothing to lose heart, but to be mindful.
So some curious question. Where exactly is this mind? Is it somewhere delocalized in the brain, or could it be all over the body, or could it go outside too?
So that is that in the BBC there was article, one thing is on the brain, and there was yet another book published by the mind, Richard Restock, and he went through the whole brain scanning and all the kind of thing. He found there is no place you can locate it. And now the mind science is the newly coined terms. Earlier the scientists thought the mind is a matter that is something the church has to handle. The matter is something that the scientists can handle. So scientists went further and further to the matter, chemically, biologically and physically, and ultimately the physicists, they went into the point through the quantum physics, the matter become energy, energy become matter. And there the involvement of the consciousness became invariably very, very critical. Now they find beyond there to go, they have to accept that they are in capacity of the consciousness on this matter and energy change. And then again, they came to know, mind they consider as something mystic, something magical, so leave aside at the beginning. Now they are incorporating it. That is how the mind science come into being. So when that happens, still it is a mystic. We do not know. But without understanding what is the consciousness is, what is the mind is, whatever you do is kind of a secondary. It is kind of extrovert. So therefore understanding mind is more important than understanding the matter. So therefore it says now, wherever you go, there you are. Whatever the thing you are confronted with, it is nothing but the mind. But you see that you are. If you are looking the world with a beautiful mind, the world appears very beautiful. If you are looking at the world with a worried mind, the world appears very worried. So therefore, mind is everywhere. Only thing is that we are not mindful. Mindfulness is bringing back to the source. And the day you understand the mindfulness, you will feel you are like an omnipresent, omnipotent God. You can do whatever you like once your mind is under your control. But the present education is leaving aside the mind and it tries to balance the world, level the world, infrastructure of the world, and they think the happiness is in the technology. Leaving aside the mind. But ultimately when the mind becomes off the track, the whole world is off the track. So in the meditation you try to balance the technological aspect and the development also as well as the development of the mind. And locating mind is it's impossible. Even without locating, if you can master it, for example, the electricity is a kind of phenomena. You don't know what the electricity is. But you don't know what the behavior of the electronics is. Some people think it is running from positive to negative. Some people think it is from the negative to positive. No one can prove, but still we can make use of it. Likewise the mind also, taking it as a serious subject, by controlling slowly, you gain both the mind and matter into a subject, bring it to under the light of mindfulness, and then your development is healthy. Otherwise, very difficult to locate the mind, neurologically or philosophically. That is not the case. Understanding, diagnosis of the behavior of the mind, then more and more you take the situation under control. So when I come to know the book known as The Mind, I went through all the books, but it is out of print. Then I got the second-hand copy, and I went through, and ultimately going through so much of in detail, it says, even by doing all the scanning of the brain, you can't locate it. But that does not indicate it is not existing, and that does not indicate by not locating you are not, it's a barrier for you to control it. When Buddha says that Durangamang ekacarang asarirang guhasayam, the mind has these attributes, it can travel far distance. Durangamang ekacarang, it never have any associated or any friend or any second person. Asarirang, it has no body. Guhasayang, it is living and lying on this cave at a time, but it is not located, it is not bounded with this body. So that is, in order to avoid that, you must just walk without any meditative mind. Just walk. 3 minutes, just to let the body to decide the proper speed. Just move. And when that you become familiar only, you try to be aware of these movements rather than manipulating it, rather than regimenting it. Even in the mindfulness on the in-breath and out-breath, whenever mind confronts with the in-breath and out-breath, some people, invariably try to do forced breathing. And they can't understand whether it is something doing or something happening. In the meditation, the best meditation is when it is happening and you are observing. That is the definition of mindfulness. Because the breath is something can happen with the voluntary and involuntary muscles. You can do as well as you can let it happen. But the meditation is, the best is to let it happen and you become a neutral observer. Exactly in the walking also, you have to give the body a chance just to walk up and down. And then you, as if you are an outsider, observe the walking body. When that happens, you feel like a puppet. The thing is happening and you are observing outside. Otherwise, you are regimenting yourself. And then the tension arises, then the heaviness arises, then the difficulty arises. So this indicates our mind do not know how to get a distance from the situation and observe it. Always walking fingers, always manipulating it. So these are this is in the meditation, in the Buddhist jargon it is called that the fabricating or the manifesting character of our mind. We go and try to manipulate it. Beyond our will, beyond our wish, it is doing. So it's also a good thing, but at the beginning, not to get the complication, you just go for normal walking without much of noting of the left and the right, and then just like to observe it from the external point of view. It's an art rather than a science. Yeah, almost at 11 o'clock. So, it is something challenging to you to continue, or it's boring, or it's kind of becoming a burden?
It's interesting.
So that's all. That's all one has to start. It is like drawing and art or something like that. When you keep on practicing, you will develop your own ways and means. But if you are interested in reading good literature on this, I would like to recommend, there's a very nice book known as Power of Mindfulness by Venerable Jnanaponika. He's a German monk. He started a very good bookshop in Sri Lanka known as Buddhist Publication Society. And you have the soft copy. You can download it. And it's about 80 pages. The best book I have ever read. Because it is not coming from the Buddhist perspective. Being a German, he sees the pragmatic way. And yet another one is Mindfulness in Simple English by Bhante Gunaratana. It's also good. And these two books will help you to do it as a hobby. Not like a regimen. They are not a cult like Buddhism. But to get the idea. And it has enough dealings how to make use this mindfulness in your day-to-day activities. To get rid of the stress. And therefore, this literature will be quite helpful. Power of Mindfulness by Venerable Jnanaponika. The other one also you have free distribution, not the soft copy, the Mindfulness in Simple English. Both of them are good. And some other books available, but these two I recommend because it has no religious kind of taint and you feel like reading. So if someone like to have that link to the e-copy, make a list of email addresses so I can give the link so you can download and read it. And there are a lot of good books nowadays based on this minus. John Kabat-Zinn, all the books are good. And Mark Epstein, both of them Americans. These books are very, very practical. But Power of Mindfulness is very basic, just touching the subject. And Eckhart Tolle, the Power of Now, also good. It is based on the Bible, the Catholic movement, because he is addressing the Westerners. But anyway, he is dealing the subject. So these are good books for your further readings. Okay, then I will thank you very much for participation. Please mind your own business.